The line was exceptional.
I've had to train to get very, very proficient.
Gold medalist and Paralympic champion representing New Zealand.
You're always adjusting and adapting to conditions, and that's the thing that young players perhaps don't quite realise these days.
You're listening to the Hyundai High Performance Hour.
The news had come out in the First World War. The bloody Red Baron was flying once more. The Allied command ignored all of his men and called on Snoopy to do it again.
Yeah, welcome into the Hyundai High Performance Hour and welcome into Sport Lately again here on this Wednesday night. It is our very final show on a Wednesday night for Sport Lately. We've had a lot of fun over the last 5 years and of course, bringing you as well the Hyundai High Performance Hour, a chance to talk to some of the great achievers in sport, business and adventure from right around the world for a long, long time. Just keep an eye on the website hph.co.nz for more information next year about developments with the show. But tonight it's all about looking back at 2013. We're going to hear from a couple of our contributors and hosts through this next 45 minutes or so. But we thought no better way than to kick off our final Hyundai High Performance Hour than with the captain of the unbeaten All Blacks. Yes, the perfect international campaign through a calendar year. They said that perhaps it might not have been achievable in the professional era. Well, they've done it, the All Blacks. And joining us is Captain Richie McCaw. Richie, welcome to the show. Compliments of the season to you.
Yeah, same to you. Thanks, guys.
When you start a campaign, when you start an international season, does the thought of going unbeaten, does it even enter your mindset? Is it even spoken about at all?
I don't know whether you... I think you probably start the year wanting to go through unbeaten, but you realise that, it's a pretty tough ask. But, when you play for the All Blacks, you expect to win every week. And it's not an easy thing to do, to put game after game together. But, I think as the season wore on and we got closer to it, it certainly was in the back of everyone's mind. And, we run it pretty close that last one, but it was pretty satisfying to get there. Because as I said, when you sort of do it every week, it's a tough thing to do.
So, was it almost then a motivating factor for you as you got closer to it and the media, in particular the fans, start talking about it? Did it actually become a motivating factor? Let's not drop this because we're so close to something special.
I think probably in the back of all our minds, but I think led by Steve and perhaps the senior boys, we all realise that you start worrying about outcomes and what might be, you actually forget the things that you need to do to ensure you go out and perform and to give yourself a chance. And that's always the toughest thing when everyone around the team sort of talks like that, is to try and keep the sort of mind on what you need to do throughout the week to perform. And but I thought we did that pretty well over the season. And to be honest, without even talking about it too much, the guys knew that we had a chance to make some history in that last game. And whether that was a bit of maybe had a little tinge of, we were, just hoping it would be right, and perhaps, the performance, certainly in the first half of that last game, wasn't as good as we'd like, but, we hung in there and got it, and, you guys all, as I said, were pretty satisfied.
It's quite a remarkable couple of years, really, isn't it, Richie, when you look at, on the back of the World Cup success, that there'd be... not every excuse, but perhaps people would be understanding if there was a little fall-off in motivation and perhaps even standards. But if anything, under the stewardship of Steve and the coaching team, and I'm sure your leadership, the team has just gone to another level again. And that's allowing for the fact that you've brought in a raft of new players to the environment. So that must be something you're all incredibly proud of.
Oh, without a doubt. I think... I remember talking with the coaches and a few of the senior boys after the World Cup, and we sort of said at the start of last year we had a choice. We could sit back and sort of wallow in the glory of what happened, the previous season, or we could, take ourselves to another level and really, if we believed we could be better, there was no reason why not. And I think, when you had the buy-in of led by Steve and the coaches and the buy-in of the senior boys to do that. It became, I guess, once we got going, and that it sort of became a bit of reality, and we could see where we weren't going to let things slip off. It sort of, I think it sort of snowballed, and I think you've got to take your hats off to the coaches as well. You know, they've brought new players in, they've identified guys that have come in with energy and excitement, and I think the balance of guys that have been around a while and the new boys has helped keep that attitude and that desire that you need to keep performing.
We're talking with All Blacks captain Richie McCaw on the Hyundai High Performance Hour, looking back at 2013. Richie, is one of the reasons that you've been able to do that and develop and grow on what happened at the World Cup is that you guys have almost taken a blinkered approach here, and that it's all about you, it's all about your environment, your team, the All Blacks, and your own standards, and to a degree, and I'm not suggesting that you put all scouting aside, but to a degree you ignore the opposition. Is that fair to say, that it's all about your own standards?
I think there's a balance, but you're right. You've got to realise when you're ranked number one in the world, everyone wants to knock you off, and where do you set your standards? If you keep looking at who might be chasing you, you're not going to progress where your potential you can be. So I think it's a real balancing act between, obviously respecting and understanding the guys you're going to play against on Saturday are pretty good at what they do. There's not a lot between everyone, but also saying, well, we need to set the standard and not look in the rear vision mirror, look forward as to say, well, it's not good enough to stick with us, so be it, but this is where we're going. And I think that's always the fine line. You can't just discard who you're playing, because there's some pretty good teams you play against, but getting that balance right of living up to your own standards and not, letting them drop if the team we play against is as good as they could be, or conversely, having the attitude, well, that team played better than us, so a slip-up's okay. If a team's good enough and you've played your best, well, you can't do much more than that, but when you don't play your best, and we judge ourselves on that, I think that's where you can really be motivated and keep progressing the way you want.
How do you do that in terms of looking for outside inspiration? Do the All Blacks management and what about yourself as a captain? Do you go looking at other sports? Do you look elsewhere for new and different ways of approaching how you improve on those standards? And I guess the obvious here is, do you look at a New York Yankees or a Manchester United? Does that sort of stuff go on?
Probably. I definitely think the coaches, we did talk about it as a team, perhaps not in specific examples, but you see so many teams that are at the top, but it's easier to let their guard drop, and I think there's examples of that, and really it's one of the hardest things I think in sport to master is being able to back up a good performance or a good campaign with another, and everyone's patting you on the back and you feel like you've sort of achieved something. It's to be able to just keep that standard there, and I think if anything, we've looked at examples where teams that are great teams have sort of slipped up, and I think it's been a huge motivating factor for a lot of us. And I know certainly personally that's one of the things in sport that it's easier to talk about, but to actually, you might tell yourself you're doing everything this week, but you just sometimes know that it's tougher to get in the right frame of mind. And I think when you're able to master that, there's not many teams can do that. So I think certainly we acknowledge that it's a tough thing, but it's thinking, well, how are we going to be one of the teams in the world that are able to just back up week after week?
One of the fascinating changes, I think, a transformation within the All Blacks over the last 10 years or so, and I think certainly it led to that World Cup victory, was the ability to cope and make decisions and adjust during games, where I think we had a bit of an error there where perhaps we were a little too mindful of the end result, and as a result of that we were fearful of what would happen if we lost, whereas it looks to me now within this All Blacks group, and as I say, for the last 4 or 5 years now, that there's such a strong core of leadership that those decisions are almost happening instinctively within games. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, well, and I don't think that just happens by accident. I think you're right. Perhaps in my early years as captain and the team, is that the All Blacks won a lot of games, but we sort of hoped that we wouldn't get in a situation that it could have gone either way, or it might go either way when it really counted. And when you just hope for that, invariably at some stage you will get in that situation, and maybe we didn't have the right mindset. Whereas I think my experience is that you almost expect to be in those positions, and it's all very well doing that, but you expect that it's no surprise, and then it's actually figuring out ways of understanding how you're going to deal with that situation, having sort of thought about it before it happens, and then there's absolutely no substitution for being in those situations. And when you get through one or two of them, you know the next time that if you keep calm, there's opportunities come. And yes, one other thing I always remember is that if we're under pressure, the opposition's under pressure as well. It's been game to fight. The two of the blinks first, and I think being able to be calm and composed is pretty key. And as I say, it's easy to talk about, but it's actually almost first of all being trained under pressure when you train, but also have an idea of how you're going to act when it really counts. And I think as a captain, certainly I do a lot of thinking about that, and actually expect and relish those moments, and to see how good you are and whether you can handle it. And I think having that attitude means you don't shy away from it, you actually walk towards it.
Yeah, and I guess that was highlighted in no better case than the final game, when you look at a scoreboard, or certainly the fans do, and they see this All Black team on the verge of something really special behind on the scoreboard, for goodness sakes, against Ireland of all teams. But I imagine that was a wonderful example of what you've just described, that the faith was there. Were you able to look in the eyes of your teammates and know there was a calmness that we know what to do here, let's not panic, let's not get outside what we know works for us?
Yeah, and I think you did right in those situations. A few of us, and I think especially the guys who've been around a while, understand that. And you just got to be calm with it. Like there was no guarantees we were going to get home in that game, but what we did do, we gave ourselves an opportunity by hanging in there right to the end. We didn't sort of concede and go, well, it was okay. We kept looking for ways, and hey, a few seconds later, it might not have come off, but we were always in with a chance right to the end. And when you've got the talent we've got, there's an opportunity, and it only takes 5 seconds or 20 seconds to score a try. So when you start breaking it down to that, and remembering that they're a team that they would have got to near the end going, cheapers, how are we going to, can we hold on? And you remember that, and it's just, as I said before, it's the first to blink. And I think that game was a classic example of if you hang in there, that your chances will come, and you just got to be good enough to take them. And thankfully we were, because we perhaps at the end of the day, if you look at it from a neutral spot, maybe didn't deserve it totally, but rugby sort of in sport doesn't always reward the people that deserve it the most.
And for you, of course, it was an interesting year with the break at the start of the year, and you had a couple of injury concerns, but you're happy with where you finished and happy with your form throughout the season? Yeah,
it was a little bit frustrating, there's no doubt. When the break was great. Like, it was exactly what I needed, and I gave myself a good amount of time to get fit again. And I guess just, I did all that well, and then those couple of niggles and not being able to sort of get a run of games together was a little bit frustrating. But, the last thing I wanted to do is get frustrated, allow that to affect how you were, getting yourself ready to get back again. So I think in the tour, getting 480 minutes under the belt, I sort of really started to feel like I was getting on top of how I was playing, and body was feeling pretty good. So, at the end of the year, I was pretty happy. Like, I still feel like, I still room for improvement how I played, but, it wasn't too bad. And, going into next year, reasonably injury-free and not too many niggles, hopefully we can, not get held up by injuries, and get a few games under the belt early, and just hopefully progress.
And you're looking forward to that new season with as much anticipation as you might have 10 years ago? Is the buzz is still there?
Yeah, it is, and I think if it's not, it's probably time to think about doing other things. But that desire and stuff is certainly there. And as I said before, I still feel like I didn't quite get to the level I was really hoping for, but you keep aiming to improve, and I think when you've got that attitude, you keep enjoying it, enjoying the challenge. And I just look at the Super Rugby, and you have people say to you, the long season, the Super Rugby. Well, I think you've got to look at it, be excited by it. I can look at the Crusaders, for example. We've got a pretty talented team that's come close in the last couple of years, which has been frustrating, but we've got guys that have been through that, and we've got an opportunity to give it a good crack. So you've got to be excited by it, and I think when you get to my time in career, you realise that there's not a whole lot left, and you want to enjoy every minute you get, and you enjoy it by doing the job well, and that's sort of the way I'm trying to look at it.
And what then for Christmas? Put the feet up, do a bit of flying. You got a bit of time off with the family?
Yeah, got a bit of time off. So I'm just down in Central Otago at the moment, doing a bit of gliding, which is pretty cool. And back to Christchurch with the family for Christmas, and then probably back down to Central over New Year, and then we're back into this training early middle of January. So we'll come around pretty quick, but now enjoying a bit of summer and a bit of flying.
Well, mate, it's a wonderful year and certainly some wonderful memories. And I know that when we open the lines tonight, looking for highlights of 2013, there are going to be any number that have been provided by the All Blacks and various rugby teams, of course, from New Zealand through the year 2013. Mate, have a wonderful Christmas and put your feet up and enjoy that gliding. It just seems so, I guess it's almost the opposite of crash and bash in international rugby, is it, that you're up there on your own just cruising?
Yeah, it is. It's fairly different. I think that's probably what I get the great enjoyment out of. So, I look forward to doing a bit more of that.
Good stuff. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us, Richie, and all the best.
Yeah, have a good Christmas. Cheers.
Richie McCaw with us, All Blacks captain, with a rare opportunity, a rare insight to have a chat with one of the great sporting leaders on the planet. And we at times we perhaps don't acknowledge that. And we get a little bit myopic, we get a little bit caught up in our own backyard. But Richie McCaw is one of sport's great leaders, and across all sports. So a wonderful opportunity to chat with Richie on the show tonight. And my thanks to the night watchman, Jason, for lining that up for us. Appreciate it, mate. He's a pretty clever fella, isn't he? And I'm not just talking rugby here. This guy's got it all going on.
Oh, he has. And, if you do get the chance... grab a hold of his book that came out this time last year, actually, or a little bit about a year ago. He's a highly intelligent gentleman, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah,
top man.
Good stuff. Listen, on the back of that, we're going to have a chat with Del Woodford, get his thoughts on the highlights of 2013. But let's open the lines up as well. So if you've got some thoughts on that interview, on the back of that chat with Richie McCaw on this, the Hyundai High Performance Hour, it's a little bit different tonight. You're more than welcome to call through on 0800 825577. The highlights of 2013, and that will be very much a theme of tonight's show. We're broadcasting live from the Garrison Public House, wonderful establishment, and we've been well looked after here. The green liquid is flowing.
Well, the liquid's not green, but it comes in a green bottle.
Well, it looks green.
Comes out of a green tap.
Green tap, green bottle.
It is a beautiful amber colour.
Amber.
It's beautiful.
Is it okay? Let's just confirm that it's okay.
It's refreshing.
And the food as well has been delightful. So you can join us if you like. We're here until midnight at the Garrison Sylvia Park. If you can't join us, then please do give us a call. 0800 825577. Your highlights of 2013, what are they on this, the Hyundai High Performance Hour, the final show for the year?
Tour of New Zealand. The third test begins Thursday at 10:30. Live from Seddon Park in Hamilton on Radio Sport.
You can depend on Davey Water Products.
All that rain running off the roof, it's as good as money going down the drain. Especially when you consider that collecting and using rainwater could reduce your mains water bill by up to 40%. Davey Water is the rainwater harvesting expert. Their Rainbank system is reliable, automatic, and can supply your whole home, from toilets and washing machines to showers and pools. Take a look at rainbank.co.nz. Rainbank, another Davey Water product that you can depend on.
Okay, time to get serious. You need a seriously good gift that's different. You got it with personalised Whitestone cheese gift packs available at whitestonecheese.co.nz. Seriously award-winning cheeses packaged up all nice in wooden boxes or tins. They make great gifts. Whitestone Cheese. Seriously good cheese from seriously good cheese people. Follow them on Facebook for giveaways and summer cooking tips.
Want to win up to $50,000 in cash prizes? Sevens Wellington has doubled its costume catwalk prize money for 2014. And all you have to do is get 12 mates together and dress up as one of the 16 nations competing at the tournament. So come along to New Zealand's biggest annual summer event. Get your Pavlovas, Kangaroos or Uncle Sam's together and register online at sevens.co.nz. Dress up for your country. For more details and to register for the competition, go online to sevens.co.nz.
Counties Toyota for the drive of your life.
Hi, Mark Russell, CEO Counties Toyota. Are you worried about financing and insuring a new or used vehicle? Toyota Financial Services, backed by Toyota, one of the world's largest and most trusted brands, is here to make it easy for you. With a wide range of vehicle finance and insurance products to suit your needs, lifestyle and budget. Ask our friendly business manager in store.
Counties Toyota for the drive of your life.
Counties.toyota.co.nz.
Father Christmas, Old St. Nick, Santa Claus. He's known by many names across the globe, but did you know our Santy was a loud snorer? He should have seen the team at Alpers Dental. In most cases, they can help with this common problem. Enjoy the gift of a good night's sleep this Christmas thanks to Alpers Dental, recommended by Mrs. Claus. Sleep soundly these holidays. Visit alpers.co.nz or call 524 50 56.
The Hyundai High Performance Hour with Andrew Dewhurst. Proudly brought to you by Hyundai New Zealand.
You're joining me here in our studio live at the Garrison, Jason Ryan, the night watchman, and Del Woodford's joined us as well for a celebratory drink tonight and a bite to eat and a look back on 2013. Del, I know we spoke last night, but thank you for your contributions to the show over the last 5 years, and I know that they will continue in the realm of cycling. And but we've thrown you in the hot seat a couple of times as well, mate. Have you enjoyed the opportunities?
It's been absolutely fantastic, Andrew. I've loved it, and thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, it's a shame that in a way it's all ending because I was enjoying it and would have looked forward to doing some more next year. But to you and Karen, thank you very much, and of course all the listeners, and all the best to you guys for your future.
Yeah, no, we've it's been a lot of fun. We just heard from someone that I just described, and I don't even know if I've sort of said it out loud, as being one of sport's great leaders, and I mean on the planet, in Richie McCaw. We sometimes get a little blinkered, don't we, and we think about our own backyard, but you know, you put it into context, it's one of the great sports teams in the world. Probably the greatest winning record, Jason, of international sporting teams.
I believe it's the greatest of all time, yes.
And there's the captain joining us on the show, and regarded as one of the greatest ever All Blacks. And sometimes we've got to think big picture a little bit more in this little country of ours, don't we?
Oh, we do. You got to take your hat off to the guy. You know, he leads like a leader, doesn't he? He's a true leader. He's on the front. That test in South Africa, I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was
gold, wasn't it?
It was. And
was that he'd been out for a couple of weeks, had he, going into that game? He was pretty much going in cold, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, they took him to Argentina hoping that he would become right for the South African test, and of course he was, and led the team to a great victory.
Yeah, and a perfect season for the All Blacks. I say perfect in terms of results, but the beauty is, having just spoken with Richie, that perfection for them is probably unattainable because they're constantly looking to it's almost like Jason, you'll have to forgive me for saying this, but the great Auckland team. And I remember talking to the likes of B.G. Williams, Morris Trapp, John Hart, coaches during that great Auckland era. The reason they were so great is because they set their own standards. They went chasing perfection.
You do. You have to chase that, and I think what they've created is the right to, earn the jersey. You challenge for the jersey. There's competition for places. Nothing's taken for granted. So they've built a depth within the squad as well that I think any sporting team would love to have. With it doesn't matter what code, if you could have that sort of depth, but you've got to create it, and that's what that great Auckland era had as well. They had a lot of people wanted to challenge for those positions. They mightn't have got there, but they were there pushing all the time.
Yeah, and their toughest games were often their training sessions.
And they train pretty hard too, I can tell you. Their Thursday afternoon session is absolutely brutal. It's she's a full-on, full-contact, pretty much an 80-minute game, and there is no love lost.
Yeah. We're talking the highlights of 2013. We're talking in a rugby context at the moment on the back of that interview with Richie McCaw. I hope you've enjoyed that. You're more than welcome to join our conversation on the Hyundai High Performance Hour. Give us a call, 0800 825577. We'll open the lines after 10 as well and take your thoughts. But looking back in a broader context, 2013, what comes to mind in terms of sporting highlights? I know I've had to go scrolling through the internet and try and remember it all because there's been so much going on. But if you had to grab something, Dell, what would it be?
Oh, it's terrific. It's been absolutely terrific year. For me, Lauren Boyle, absolutely outstanding. I think swimming is one of the toughest sports in the world, the way they train, the amount of events that they have to do in a competition, the loneliness of the pool, if you like. Less when you go for a bike ride or a run or you're playing rugby, you've got some mates around you to have a chat to. When you're in the pool, it's pretty hard to have a conversation. It's a pretty lonely place, I reckon. And for her to achieve what she's done this year, that's really my sporting highlight.
Yeah, a couple of World Championship bronze, wasn't it?
I think it might be 3, is it?
Was it 3?
I think three, bronze medals.
Goodness me, okay. Yeah, I need to double check that. But of course, she's also dominated in the short course. She's picked up World Cup golds and just been quite brilliant, quite outstanding. And in fact, has just won more medals again in the last few days. So yeah, she's one of the real highlights. I tell you what, that women's award at the Hellberg, that's going to be one heck of a battle, isn't it? Lydia Ko, you got Valerie, isn't that great? You just need to say Valerie. She's been elevated to that status, hasn't she?
See, I disagree. There's only 2 people that can win that category.
Yes.
Valerie Adams and Lisa Carrington. They're the only 2 world champions. The others haven't attained number 1 status or world champions yet. So if you're going on the Sportswoman of the Year, there is only 2 in the category. The others are certainly admirable and are certainly highly recommended and not far off the case. But for me, there is world champions in that category. World champions dominate.
But that's a criteria that you're applying to that award, and
Correct.
we know that it's broader than that, because now I'm going to suggest to you how many people are swimming it as against flat water canoeing.
Oh, correct.
So,
but you can say that for any sport. I mean, but to me, one of the first criteria you should look at is, do they tick the box as a world champion? Is there a world champion in this category?
Yeah.
Yes, there's 2 there.
Fair play.
So for me, then it comes down to, well, it should be those. The others are certainly notable mentions, and it's not to diminish what they've achieved, but Lydia Ko hasn't achieved that great. She's turned professional. She's won a couple of tournaments. Yeah, she's done okay.
Top amateur in the world, number 5 in the world overall.
Yeah, but she's not number 1.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for that.
I know what you're saying, Jason, but
they're fantastic achievements. I don't want to diminish from it, but that's my criteria.
Yeah.
First of all, in the category, is there a world champion in there? So that's the first criteria. Yes, there is 2 of them, so it comes down between those 2 for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I hear what you're saying. It's interesting as well, though, that some sports have a world championship once every 4 years, some every 2 years, and others every year.
And so how do you put that in here? You take the All Blacks, they're the current world champions, but they didn't win a world championship this year, but the pair did in rowing.
Yeah, so therefore, yep, to me, if they win their title, yep, absolutely.
And is a pair in a boat a team?
Well, yeah.
Or are they a duo?
Yeah, that's
is 2 people on a bike? Is that a tandem or a team?
We're splitting hairs. Look, I haven't heard Dell talk about this for a while, but I wouldn't say it's one of the sporting highlights for me, but it's one of the world sports greatest stories, and it was obviously probably the world's biggest doping scandal busted this year with Lance Armstrong.
Listen, at the end of the year, and you'll see it, Reuters will put out their top stories of the year.
Top stories, it'll have to be.
And that will be number 1. I would imagine that will be number 1.
Absolutely. And we know Dell's, his world is cycling. So I think we've heard you talk about it before. How do you feel 6 months, 8 months after the story broke? Has your opinion changed at all?
My opinion of Lance hasn't changed at all. And
it never will it?
No, it won't. I think, it's definitely a big story for the sport, a big story for the sporting world, and with what we're seeing with drugs and other sports, even in Australia with the league and that sort of thing going on, it may only be the tip of the iceberg for other sports. Lance coming out like this, so long term it may be a really good thing for sport in general. With Lance, there's always a Lance agenda. He wouldn't have done it unless he thought there was something in it for himself.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, is that with Lance, it's not just the doping. He's not just another dope cheat, is he? Lance, he took it to the nth degree, and he hurts a lot of people along the way, didn't he?
More so than probably any other athlete that's doped. If we take the Jamaican sprinters who at the moment they're under the gun, they've tested positive, they're gone. Lance didn't test positive, but he destroyed people's lives robbed athletes of their careers through what he was doing, and if you weren't a part of his team doing what he was doing, there was no place for you. And in his view, there was no place for you in the sport, and that's where it was so wrong. The story could get bigger next year, though, Jason, if they decide to take him to court again and lock him up.
Criminal proceedings.
You think they will?
I think there's a federal case, so absolutely, with the US postal sponsorship and the use of government money, it looks like the trail of that money being used to commit fraud in the sporting arena, absolutely, it could get to that.
So, that has been a huge story of 2013 and corruption in sport. Again, we've just seen another football story out of Italy this time in terms of corruption. We know about the cricket stories, so they again have been some big stories this year, but throw another couple, maybe more local. But a highlight for me this year, guys, while we're throwing a few out there, and we'll talk about these after 10 as well, but very close to my heart, and that, of course, was the three-peat for the Sky City Breakers. And to be sitting at home watching them win it in Perth. And I know some people around me, I was at Sky City watching in the bar there, and some people around me were almost going, no, don't win it.
Don't win.
Let's come back home for the third game. And I was just, forget that. Let's just win this thing and win it on Perth's court. So that was a real highlight for me.
Look, I was almost one of those people at home in Christchurch because, I get to experience that courtside, every week for the Breakers and sitting there, and it's a fantastic atmosphere. And so, selfishly, I wanted to be part of that final in 4 days' time at home, and because you had that confidence that we'd stuff them back at home. But when reality sets in, you go, shit, you take the win at any stage on any court. And talking to the players, since that victory, for them, there is nothing better than winning on somebody else's court,
cutting down the net,
cutting their net down.
Yeah.
That is one of the greatest feelings for those players, and hats off to them. Three-peat, unbelievable.
We're talking the highlights of 2013. Myself, Jason Ryan, the Night Watchman, and Del Woodford on the Hyundai High Performance Hour on the back of our chat with Richie McCaw. If you've got a comment, you're welcome to join us. 0800 8255 777. We're live at the Garrison Public House at Sylvia Park and will be until midnight. They've been great supporters of us, and we certainly enjoy supporting them when we come out here, I've got to tell you, just quietly.
Just quietly, yeah.
Now, just to answer, I didn't quite hear you through the comms, but we got anyone there, or we go to a break? We'll go to a break and back in a moment. There's a spare line. You'll get straight through. Highlights of 2013. What were they for you? And all callers tonight will go in the draw for our prizes. We'll have quiz night after 11 as well, but all callers in the draw for our prizes. And, of course, from the Garrison at Sylvia Park and the Running Bull in Christchurch. So we could get a voucher out to you. Won't get it there probably now in time for Christmas, but for in the new year for sure. Give us a call, 0800 8255 777.
Radio Sport has the HRP T20, but it's currently under construction. We should have it back up and running December 27. Sorry for any inconvenience caused. Radio Sport is the English Premier League.
Kraus, right-footed, past the post, strikes the back of the net. It's saved out to the goalkeeper's net.
Commentaries on Sunday and Monday mornings. The most powerful name in sport. Radio Sport. During the long, hot summer ahead, chill out with the Kings of Cool. Radio Sport and Mitre 10 Mega present the West Indies Tour of New Zealand. The third test from Seddon Park in Hamilton begins Thursday at 10:30. Keep us loud for ball-by-ball commentary.
And he swings him high, long, strong, into the crowd.
Stay cool this summer with the Windies against the Black Caps on Radio Sport.
Meet Fridge Buddy, your fridge's new best friend. Fridge Buddy extends the freshness of food, removes odours and cuts down on food wastage. Visit fridgebuddy.co.nz to order and get a twin pack for just $29.95 plus postage.
The Crowd Goes Wild Breakfast.
That's actually it's one of my favourite songs. It brings back some memories, Mark. I actually listened to that to take on Dale Steyn in South Africa. I played it again at lunch and I walked out, my chest was back and it was my life and I was going to take it on. Next thing I know, I got hit in the head and I ended up in hospital for 3 nights and had 7 plates put on my cheek.
When you sort of got hit in the mouth and then you were in a hospital, you sort of went, that's not how it was all meant to pan out.
From 6 till 9 weekdays, Mark Richardson, Andrew Mulligan, The Crowd Goes Wild Breakfast. Radio Sport. Radio Sport is football.
Up to the bump, post, lovely goal by Jeremy Crocky.
Passion for the Wellington Phoenix. Starts here.
The sun has started to come up on the Wellington Phoenix.
Hear all the action. Radio Sport. The West Indies Tour of New Zealand. The third test begins Thursday at 10:30. Live from Seddon Park in Hamilton on Radio Sport.
The Hyundai High Performance Hour with Andrew Dewhurst. Proudly brought to you by Hyundai New Zealand.
I just want to take the time as well to acknowledge Hyundai. They've been a supporter of ours through our business and on Sport Lately and previous shows for the best part of 10 years. And truly wonderful brand and the values that they stand for, and we believe in their vehicles and their product, and they've just been fantastic. So a big thank you to the team at Hyundai for their ongoing support. It's been marvellous. We're talking with Jason Ryan and Del Woodford as we look back on the year 2013. This is our final Wednesday night show of Sport Lately. Boom, put a line under it. End of 5 years. So
let's go a line through it, not under it.
Well,
we've been cut out, mate.
Yeah, well,
we've been given the archer.
Yeah, well, I mean, your fault. We couldn't afford to pay your salary.
Well, I heard we weren't controversial enough.
Yeah, it was your salary that was the bottom line, but anyway.
Sorry about that.
So we're looking forward to your calls and your company tonight. This is the final chance for myself and Jason and probably Del. We will have a show Thursday and Friday night, but I think Andrew Clay's on both nights, and we've got some live football tomorrow night. So for the moment, looking back at 2013, let's throw some other names and other teams out there. Bruce Springsteen. Yeah,
mate, how about going to a sport that you love, the women's football?
Yeah, the football Ferns.
Well.
Football Ferns have been superb. So I think they've moved up to 13 in the world. I think that came out today. But draw with the Americans, beating Brazil. They've come on in leaps and bounds. And
that's all I've got to say about football.
Okay, I was amazed you brought that up.
Yeah, well, mate, fair credit.
And sorry, didn't catch the name. Ian joins us on the line. G'day, Ian. How you going?
Yeah, good, man. How are you?
Very good.
Look, I just wanted to just sort of comment on what Jason said before about the female Halberg Awards, the top sportswoman. I mean, to me, the question is, okay, you're number one in the world, but is it better? Are you better because you're number one out of 30 competitors, or you're number 4 out of 1,000 competitors, which is the difference between Lydia Ko and Valerie Adams. There's only 30 women in the world that probably do shot put at that level, if that. So there's probably 1,000 professional women golfers. And she's number 4.
Yeah, but there's not 1,000 women golfers that compete
level.
At that level.
Yeah.
There's probably about 30.
I hear what you're saying, Ian. Essentially what you're saying is numbers in sport. It's the depth in sport. And I certainly think there are more than 30 competitive women shot putters in the world. But I hear what you're saying. Jason, do you have a...
look, it's a valid opinion, and I respect all opinions, but they're still a world champion, and you can't take that away from them. You can't choose how many people are in your sport. If you've just chosen to be in a sport that there's not many people in, or you're because you're better at it, so be it. It's like the Black Caps winning the other day against a very poor West Indian team. They can't choose how strong the West Indian teams are. So, I mean, it's a moot point for me. She is still the world champion, deserves the accolades.
Yeah, she does. And I think, too, we almost expect Valerie to win every time she throws the shot put.
She's the All Blacks of women's sport.
And when you're at the top, and have been at the top for as long as Valerie has, to stay there is really difficult. You're challenging yourself. The gap between Valerie at 20-odd metres, 21 metres and the rest, but she's got to set her own goals. So to dominate your sport like that when there's no one really pushing you to the absolute limit is a very, very tough thing. And it's not a criteria, but for her to maintain that standard and be the world champion, I absolutely agree. She's got to win the Sportswoman of the Year.
But Ian, I'm with you, mate. I think that's one of the difficulties, and it's not subjective, is it, in judging these sorts of competitions, these Sports Person of the Year awards, because you do have to take in some of those grey areas, don't you?
I mean, you do. I mean, Lisa Carrington, fantastic person, but,
Yeah. Well, I guess you're hinting there that there's not too many competing in that as well, but appreciate your call. Thanks, Ian. We're talking the year in 2013 in review, highlights of the year. Myself, Jason Ryan, the Night Watchman, and Del Woodford here at our studio. It's actually leaning on the bar at the Garrison. It's not bad. Let's say good day to Chris. Hi, Chris.
Evening, Jason. Andrew, my review for the year, I called it last year, or the beginning of this year, actually. That I was hoping that it would make something big was Scott McLaughlin. He won a V8 race early in the year.
youngest. Yeah, I think. Am I right? The youngest ever to win an Australian V8 supercar race. I must be right. I think Chris is gone. But
motorsport's done all right the last few days, isn't it? The guy Brendan Hartley.
In the
Porsche.
Drive in the Porsche
Le Mans
sports car team.
Yeah, 24-hour race.
Yeah, and Scott Dixon. I thought Scott Dixon's win
remarkable,
and
6 or 7 races to go.
We don't appreciate how tough that sport is as well. To win that, it's not a world championship, Jason, but boy, he's got to be right out there with my sportsman of the year.
Well, I mean, but the Americans will call it a World Series, won't they? Everything in there. He's the World Series champion in the Indy League, whatever they want to call it.
It's not a world championship, Jason.
No, I know that, Eddie.
You can't.
Hey, don't sit there on your high and mighty stool. I'll kick you off it.
Are you back with us, Chris?
Yes, still here, mate. Yeah, I'm a bit of a ficklehead, mate. But I'm hoping that for 2014 that we've got what's his name, Scott McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, and Coulthard.
Fabian Coulthard.
Coulthard. I'm just hoping that next year they'll win the supercar. They'll win it.
Yeah. No, we've got a proud history in motorsport, and long may that continue for sure. Appreciate your call. Good on you, Chris. You have a good Christmas.
You too. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
There's Chris calling through 0800 8255 77. There's so many, and we're going to mention a few different highlights, and it's not just New Zealand highlights. I've got one. Adam Scott winning the Masters. I took great delight in that, in someone who's been there or thereabouts, and you might argue has choked with his opportunity to win a major prior to that, but bounced back, and I was delighted to see Adam Scott win the Masters.
A very admirable effort, but tongue-in-cheek here, would they qualify for the New Zealand Team of the Year award?
And that's the whole debate. Coach of the Year. Remember with the Breakers, Andre Lemanis didn't qualify.
I know,
because he's an Australian.
But I mean, you talk about teams. I mean, and ever more, these professional golfers are talking about how vital their caddies are. You've heard Tiger talk about it for years, and now Adam Scott with Steve Williams. But they are a vital part of a professional golfer's armoury. They're almost as important as the driver or the 9-iron in their bag.
Absolutely. Sorry, Ants again. Who have we got next? Kerry. Kerry is next. Hi, Kerry.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate.
Hey, my sporting highlight of the year is Stephen Adams.
Yeah, very popular choice. I know on Friday night there was a lot of talk around Stephen Adams, and not just making the draft, but the court time and the way he's played on court and the reviews for him. I was surprised he wasn't in the emerging talent, the Hellbergs.
He's beyond the emerging talent, I think.
What was their reasoning? Was he too old?
He wasn't nominated by Basketball New Zealand.
They didn't put him forward.
Nobody nominated him. And that's why the Chiefs were not there as well. The Chiefs were not nominated as Team of the Year. As my total understanding is that neither of those people were nominated.
Yeah, well, he, for me, is a lay-down Mazia winner of that emerging talent or whatever it's called.
Emerging, but you could also argue that he's past the emerging talent.
Nah, not this year.
No, he's broken into it, Jason. He hasn't won an NBA.
This year, he's gone from college to the NBA, gone through the draft, and he's played a tiny part of a season. So he's absolutely, this is his year of emerging.
Because people think he should be in the Sportsman of the Year category. No. I totally disagree with that. But I can't see him being in the emerging talent because he's sort of made it, but hasn't quite yet. So
he's emerging.
No,
he hasn't quite made it.
He's emerged.
Thanks,
he's playing professional ball. He's earning $1 million a year, for God's sake. That's not emerging.
Is he a world champion?
He could well be in 6 months' time.
Yes, the American world champion. Thanks for your call, Kerry, and a very good comment about Stephen Adams. G'day, Nick.
G'day, mate. Hey, I've got, I guess for me the big one was going to Melbourne for the Liverpool game. That was bloody fantastic.
Yeah, and these are some of the personal highlights we're keen to hear. And going to a game. I mean, was the game as good as you hoped it would be in terms of intensity?
No, I don't know. I mean, the training run itself, the Tuesday night, was bloody amazing. Just seeing how they do things. And gosh, like Suarez is just such a standout in the training, and just to see the class he is above everybody else it was mind blowing. And then, it was like he could score at will. And then, to see them play, the game was pretty boring, but Stephen Gerrard scored, we were really close to the pitch, and he scored right in front of me, and he was taking corners right in front of us, and it was just absolutely bloody mind-blowing.
I've seen the YouTube footage of You'll Never Walk Alone sung there.
Mate,
pretty special time.
Sung my bloody lungs out. I thought, gosh, man, like this was just... The fact that there was 96,000 people there and 90,000 of them were supporting Liverpool, it's just awesome.
So not something you regret, eh?
Oh, mate,
sort of
no.
Experience of a lifetime.
Next year, actually. But one more thing. Richie McCaw came into my shop 2 days ago, and the bloody place just went, and it just turned into pandemonium. Like people just all over him. I cut a lady off mid-conversation and was like, Richie McCaw's in my shop.
What's your shop? What's your business?
I've got Firestone, a Firestone shop in Shirley in Christchurch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that was real cool.
Just put a sign out the front. Richie was here. Richie,
mate, I've got the photos.
Fantastic. There we go. Good stuff.
Beauty.
Hey, appreciate your call.
Cheers.
Thank you, Nick.
Beauty.
And have a very good Christmas. Hyundai High Performance Hour, that just about wraps us up, but we're going to continue after 10. Looking back at 2013, looking back at the highlights of the sporting year for any different reason, personal reasons, reasons for media coverage, good or bad. We've already touched on the Lance Armstrong story this year. So give us a call after 10, 0800 825577. You got any other mentions, any other names you want to throw out there? At the moment?
Well, there's a few, mate. My beloved Canterbury MPC team, ITM Cup team,
Right.
6 in a row. The Chiefs, Super Rugby back-to-back.
Yeah,
So,
Chiefs.
mate, rugby's my sport. And, of course, mate, very late in the season, of course, but the Black Caps. Black Caps this week.
They won a test.
Well, but they didn't just win it. They smashed the West Indies in 3 days.
Do you know, I've still not seen the Trent Bolt catch. I must see if I can
mate,
see
it's
that.
a scorcher.
Must see if I
Absolute
can see
scorcher.
it. And we'll talk some more with Dell as well after 10 o'clock. Quiz night between 11 and 12. Very final quiz night. That could be fun. We might.
What are we just going to throw it open for anything we like?
Anything at all. Anything at all that Sport Lately's mentioned over the last 5 years.
Jesus.
Anything at all. News coming up next, though, with Rachel, and then we'll take your calls. 0800 8255 77. That was the Hyundai High Performance Hour for 2013.